No cords are wrapped around your feet if you get up. We don't want anyone tripping. Follow safety protocol. And first order of business is the approval of July 28th minutes. Could I have a motion to approve? I assumed everyone reviewed them.
Yep, I can motion to approve.
Can I have a second?
Andrew gave second. I wasn't here last, so it's just between you three, I think, at the moment.
Okay. So I will note that with those present and accounted for, that the minutes are approved. Our first order of business is 8 AR-6-19, revision from July. 1776 Monroe Avenue, alterations to an approved facade renovation. Is our presenter here?
Isn't that the one being postponed?
Is this the one being postponed, Jeff?
No. Which one?
Oh.
First old business.
Sheffield, 1776 Monroe Ave.
Yeah, that one got postponed.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
move on to the second, which is 7 AR-5-20. An update on 2225 through 2337 South Clinton Avenue. Facade updates for 4 medical buildings. Are they here?
They are here, yeah.
It looks like Mary's here. So is our presenter on?
I am.
Okay, do you want to run us through this? What the changes are that you made?
Sure, yes. We've come back this month. There were a few comments last month regarding the materials and correctly indicating on the elevations, rather correctly showing on the renderings the way the brick will be rendered on the elevations. So we corrected the error where a rendering showed brick where we would not have brick on one of the facades. One of the other comments was to provide some details regarding some material transitions, which we have shown as well. That's one of the sheets.
Do you know which one it is?
It would be a detail sheet, so it's going to be a, let's see, going.
Sheet A200.
Yeah, I'm not sure what order it is in this, though.
All right, let me find it.
There we go. There you go. That sheet right there. So there was a question regarding how the wood look siding panel would relate to grade, and we had changes in grade. So detail 4 on this sheet illustrates that we will maintain approximately a 4-inch gap between the grade and the panels, and that the panels will be cut to be relatively parallel to the grade. Then there was a question, I believe, or I wasn't quite sure which materials we wanted to show transitions between. So we show a detail here between the wood panels, detail 3 between where the wood panels and the brick meet, where the wood panel element is actually proud of the brick. It would return back in towards the building, and then there would be some color matched caulk and some backer rod there to make that transition smooth. And then in detail 2, we show the areas where the mansard roof was removed, and we're putting the ephes on. So there's going to be a brake metal cap that comes up underneath the ephes reveal line and covers the top of the brick.
I'm having a hard time reading that detail. Jeff, is there any way you can zoom in?
Yep. Which part?
Let's go through all of them.
So detail 1 on the far right-hand side is really an existing condition, so to reference what's there right now.
Yeah.
Just the left of that shows the mansard removed with the new ephes installed, which is kind of the left of the grayed out wall area. And then you see at the bottom of the ephes, which is the net crosshatch, there's a reveal where the ephes terminates at some flashing that goes over the top and covers the cap on that brick.
Okay. Can I see the base of that, Jeff? The base, there we go.
And that's existing. So we're not, at this area there, we're not proposing a change.
Okay. How about detail number 4, Jeff? Can you go to that?
So here you see the grade transition and then maintaining that 4-inch gap between the grade and the bottom of the wood panel, where the wood panels are cut at an angle to roughly parallel grade.
Are you putting any flashing in here?
This is actually a rain screen system, so the moisture barrier is behind the panels.
So how do you stop any moisture from being soaked up into the panel?
The panels themselves are separated from the ground by 4 inches.
Yeah, but they're still a veneer, right? A cement or product?
It's a cementitious product.
Yeah. So I would just double check that. Make sure that you don't need a Z strip or a J strip behind that.
Yeah, so it's actually a neutral pressure system where there's air gap behind this, but we'll make sure to follow the manufacturer's detailing on that.
So many of these products are new that they really probably haven't been time tested. Anyone have any questions? Anything more?
Well, I guess I'd just like to see the elevations, the front elevations of 1 or 2 of the buildings. I just want to make sure that the detailing was completed where the brick material was and the treatments of where the ephes is on the structure, because there were some questions about some of the entranceways. Maybe you can zoom into detail 5, Jeff, in that area of the entranceway. And again, Nate, the whole objective here was to expand the look of the windows going up, but that is not a true window, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and then you did do some clarification of the materials around that opening. So it's an ephes material and or a flashing material around the overhang zone, where in some of your previous elevations you were showing some brick materials and such in those areas, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the brick was erroneously carried up on 1 or 2 of the elevations that it's now shown correctly as ephes.
Okay. Okay.
And the material samples, which was one of your other comments from last month, Jeff just flipped past those, so we can get to those whenever you want to see the colors. There you go. So we have the wood look panel that's in the upper left corner, any of the metal for the storefront or the awning trim just to the right of that. And then the 2 different colors of ephes down at the bottom, the lighter color being the main field color and ephes 1, and then ephes 2 being the accent color in those recesses above the window where we're carrying that verticality up.
Any other questions or concerns? Casey, Brian, Mary?
Nothing for me.
Nope, looks good.
Is Mary on?
Mary's muted. Mary, you muted. There you
Sorry.
go.
I looked at this before the meeting, so I'm all set. Yeah, the questions have been answered.
Okay, perfect. You can call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answer if you'd like.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time. Have a nice evening.
You bet.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
So next on the agenda is new business, 8AR-1-20, 257 Pelham Road. Exterior alterations, new doors, windows, and materials. We have a presenter for that?
Yeah, I'm actually here for it. I also have my contractor on as well, Luke Dutton. So this is actually revisiting. It's submitted as new because we waited so long to get the renderings while we were waiting to see what was going on with our previous contractor and getting things in line. So we had the new contractor's architect put together these renderings because last time you had asked for front and side elevations. And just different materials that they wanted to use. So that's what we're revisiting now.
Okay, so could you have material samples? Or so how far along are you on this project now?
You saw the photos.
Exactly what the pictures are.
Right.
I just drove by there.
You guys are not living in there yet? Or is it?
No, it's uninhabitable on the inside.
How long has this been going on? Almost 4 years now?
Just about, yeah. We moved out quite a while ago and it just sat empty while we were going through litigation. We're still going through litigation.
You guys have a timeline for completion yet?
Yeah, this is really the step that we need completed before we start back up with construction. We just got another loan to complete the job on top of the loan that we took out with the previous contractor that he ran off with. So at this point, we're just waiting for architectural review board approvals and then permits. And then from there, we're going to pick up construction. So we're hoping to be completed sometime around February, depending weather permitting, but hoping to get the exterior completed before the winter months hit, including the ethos, the stonework, the front door, and then work on the inside.
Can I ask a question? What exactly are we approving? What are you asking us to approve tonight? I'm not clear on that.
You guys just wanted to see the different materials that were going to be used. So the last meeting that we came with, I brought all the material samples, and you guys had just requested that we bring the front elevation and side elevations from a contractor that were stamped. So we're just bringing these back to you so you can review them.
But
Jeff,
the
do we?
materials have already been applied to the house.
No,
Not all of them.
just the cedar.
I don't think the stone is up, right?
The
Correct.
stone veneer's not, right?
And this is not either, just the cedar is, and that was approved with the original architectural review board meeting.
Yeah, just checking.
Jeff, do we have a sample of what that stone's going to look like? I assume it's going to be orientated the other
Horizontal.
way.
Yeah.
And how about any sill stones or anything like that? You going to have a sill on that?
They're made of the same, but there will be sill stones, yes.
Different dimension?
No, they're actually the same. They're just obviously a little bit longer in length, but
Right.
And then that center portion is the ethos. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can see that.
What color is that going to be?
We haven't decided yet. We're thinking maybe like a cream or something to kind of complement the green color that is in the stone veneer. Nothing too flashy. I mean, probably like some sort of cream or beige.
Anyone have any questions?
I guess, Jeff, could you just zoom in to the left side of that lowest image? Yeah, so that this entire portion of the building is going to be stone from grade going back underneath the eave, correct?
Yeah, so if you're looking at the front door, the pivot door there where the side light is on the left,
Yep.
stone will actually carry all the way around to that. And then on the left side of that bump out there, it'll carry all the way around that left side of the house as well, just for continuity.
So you're carrying the stone all the way around the corner and back to the back of the home there?
Yeah, originally we weren't planning to, but because the ephes was damaged, to patch it, it would essentially, it's stucco right now. So if we're applying ephes to it and to try and, match that in, our contractor informed us that there would probably be a distinguishing difference there, and we didn't want it to look different. So we're just gonna continue the stone all the way around to the back left corner of the house so that it's just seamless through.
Okay. Jeff, could you just go to a couple of those photos for me, please?
And just to clarify, that just means that technically elevation number 3, the side elevation would change. That would all be stone. Correct? That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We were going to try and just match it, but it's to have a break right down the center of the side of the house just didn't really look right.
Right.
So it's this facade right here, which will be all stoned, because this is that facade. Okay.
Yep.
Could you Jeff, could just go to one of the photos that actually shows the wooden paneling? Because I think it was just right there is fine. Okay, so we're carrying the wood through, and then it's that ephes portion on the left-hand side is where the ephes will start and carry through to the front door. Okay, gotcha.
So I just do have a couple of questions. How's the ephes going to be treated at the front door? Right now, there's really no detail there on your drawing. You just have a pivot door matching the ephes. Is there going to be any trim?
We are doing it's a smaller, more modern trim on the pivot door that comes with it, and then the ephes would go right up to it.
Okay.
And the doors is in the same cedar?
The door it's in a wood color. We can have it stained any color. We're thinking probably just for continuity, we'll either carry it with a cedar over, or we'll just have it painted black to match the roof.
Are you going to have any snow stoppers on that roof at all?
We are, yeah. So there's going to be one there, and then Jeff, could you pan over to the right a little bit to the garage bump out? So that door there, right above it, there's going to be another one there. And then above the overhead door on the front of the addition, there's going to be one there too. And they're just the simple bars that kind of go down rather than the individuals in between each of the standing seams. The plastic ones just didn't really look that great.
So anything above the front door?
Overhead or the pivot door?
Your pivot door.
There was a selection that I had sent over. I guess just let me know what questions you have regarding that.
So you're going to have a snow stopper there above the front door.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have another question going back to that south elevation in your stone on the wall. How are you going to handle it around your utilities? You've got a gas meter, you've got your furnace exhaust, and what else was there? There's one other.
Was
That left side there.
The gutters and downspouts, are they being eliminated, or
No.
how is that downspout going to
The
run with
downspout is
your-
going to essentially be in the same spot on both the front left corner and the back left corner. We just haven't had them done yet because we didn't want them to get damaged when they were doing the ephes and then have to replace them. So that's why we're planning to hopefully get this done before the winter months come, so we can have the gutters up and connected rather than just letting the snow fall all over. So
What color is your trough?
black to match the roof, and then the downspouts will also be black.
Okay.
Same size. The only difference that we may be doing is they may not be corrugated, but that'll obviously depend on price.
Right.
That might be flat.
And how about you? It looks like you got some cans inside your soffit lights. Is that a light there?
Yeah, there's cans, and there's also circular soffit venting, so it kind of goes every other.
Okay. And how about your lighting fixtures on the front of the house? Have you selected those?
We have not yet. They're just going to be kind of more mid-century sconces.
Okay.
So there's one on the right side of the pivot door there where you see the wiring coming out.
Yep.
And then you pan over to the man door on the garage. There's another one there where yep. And then on either side of the garage overhead door, there's going to be one as well.
Anyone else have any questions or concerns or?
I don't.
Casey?
Nope.
Brian, Mary?
No,
No, I'm good.
The right
Okay.
side looks good, so hopefully the rest goes well.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. I want to thank you for coming. You can call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answer.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bear with me, I lost my agenda here. So next on the agenda is 8AR-2-20, 1835 Monroe Avenue, Hanlon Architects, facade alteration, sorry.
Yeah, good afternoon. So David Hanlon representing Brian Maticio. And we're here, it's okay to start?
Mhm.
So
Go
we're
ahead,
here,
sorry.
yep, so we've replied, understanding the comments that we received from the last meeting. If you want to go to the rendering, that's probably the best one to start with. So I know the concerns last time that you guys specifically noted were, well, not specifically noted. What I'd like to do is make sure that, you know, what we've done here responds correctly to the comments that you've noted in your deliberations and possibly in the letter that was sent to us. But I know during the discussions, it seemed like there was hesitancy towards that gray panel that we had as part of it, the facade. Maybe it took up a large portion of the facade. And then also the desire to bring some of the existing brick of the existing building more into the design so that there's not such a departure between the existing building and our renovated portion. In case the existing building took a while to catch up to us, or, you know, we're not dependent on them doing it. So we have, in this design, we have a lot more of the existing brick, either kept as it is, or we're matching some and bringing that into the design. Let's see, we've also introduced a little bigger piece of glass element there on the corner to try to bring attention to this, you know, new part of the plaza, this newly renovated part of the plaza. But figuring that glass is kind of a neutral element, but it gives it a kind of a you know, clean, fresh look to it. And also using the black frames that are on the rest of the plaza, using that also in this new design. Then the other large material or main part of the palette is a wood finished look on the facade, on the signage panel. In this rendering, it's a little washed out. We did submit a materials board that is a maple finish is what we're going for. So yeah, you can see it there on the upper right-hand corner. So it's a synthetic material. It's a maple, or it's an aluminum panel, but it has a wood grain finish to it. So it'll be, you know, long-lived, low-maintenance type material. And so if we go back to the rendering, I can finish up. So, and then we did a clear anodized frame around, you know, the glass and the wood material to call out, you know, that corner and highlight that as a newly renovated area of the facade. Below that wood, simulated wood finish, we've kept some of the existing brick that's there. And then wrap the exposed columns with a aluminum brake metal, a black aluminum brake metal, so it'll tie in with the frames on the glass. And then on the left-hand side below the big window is a darker iron spot brick, so that it's more durable and it creates a nice base for that side of the building. So we've got these four materials that I think that are prominent here. It's the existing brick, it's the glass in a larger condition, the wood, simulated wood panel, the darker brick below that south-facing facade, and then the clear aluminum wrap that kind of frames that corner. And then to the right, we're only suggesting this. This is not part of our scope, but you know, in the last couple of meetings, there's been dialogue on, well, how does this tie in with the old, and how would the old kind of tie in with what you're doing? So we're suggesting that that framed element that we're doing on the corner could be used as, say, the mall entry on that south side there, on the inside corner, you know, where there is an interior public corridor that comes out. So, you know, we're suggesting that this design aesthetic that we're using for Brian's part could be used on the new part in similar fashion. And without having to redo the whole facades, it could be used in more, say, economically scaled portions. And then things like, you know, the red awnings, they may stay or go. I think if they left and you tied in with the font, you could easily picture how this plaza looks more uniform from left to right with very minimal cost on their part. However, if they decided to use more and more elements of what we've got on our part, that would be a home run. I mean, because the whole plaza would then blend. But this at least shows you how, you know, this design approach makes the old and the new tie together fairly well, but gives them a nice clean look for his part. It also doesn't compete, I should say. There was, you know, I'm not sure how the dialogue was going with Core Life, whether you guys like Core Life or don't like Core Life. I couldn't get a sense of that. It seemed kind of go back and forth. This doesn't rely on tying in so much to Core Life. It's kind of an independent design of, you know, but it has a clean contemporary look to it that I think goes well with the existing building. So that's a general approach, and then I can take your questions.
Couple comments. I think it looks a lot cleaner than the last rendering. I think it looks good. The big thing that jumps out to me is how is the interior lighting going to be handled with that large glass area?
So the upper half of that tall piece that's spandrel glass because that's, okay, you're looking at the plenum, you know, the ceiling space. So the lower area would be, you know, open to the interior office, and that might even have window treatments on it if we get some brutal sunlight, and you know, you got to control the daylighting.
Yeah, yeah, just more less at night. Was worried, and you know, the existing font is kind of a, I don't want to say a landmark in Brighton, where it's yellow during the day and red at night. I don't know if a lot of carrying that same theme or not, but
I don't think so, because that's, you know, Brian's got a branding on, you know, this is a second or third location. We want to continue the branding of the other sites. So we'd want to go with this font.
The other question is HVAC. Where would all that be located?
That, you know, if new rooftops are needed, they would be at the center of the roof. So you wouldn't see them in this view. If they became apparent, you know, we could screen them with similar materials. But right now we haven't gotten that far because, you know, we want to make sure this project's done. You know,
yeah, I understood. Yeah, I just, you know, across the street at 12 Corners, the screen there, HVAC, and unfortunately, I think it takes it in the wrong direction. If you ever take a look at that, that's what I would try to avoid.
Okay.
Personally. Any other questions?
I guess I'll just comment. I like the direction this is going. And I like the fact that the existing brick material is being proposed. I think that ties in a little bit better. I do actually like the spandrel glass and glass corner on the structure a little bit better than the larger panels. So that treatment that goes around the entire, from the window over to the right where you have that wood look material, that's just an anodized aluminum material?
Yep, it's, it's either gonna be like an Alucobond panel or a brake metal panel that, wraps a frame. That's a projected fin element and then a projected horizontal cap.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, I understand the direction you're taking it too with even with the mall entrance, that treatment then could be replicated again as you get further to the right in the plaza, on the other end of the plaza, and that starts to tie all of that in together. Have you had any further discussions with the plaza owner on their intentions moving forward? I know that you've provided a letter saying that they are in agreement to do something at this end. Have they provided anything further? I don't recall seeing that.
Nothing further than the letter that we submitted.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you have a visual, David, of the section where this new treatment meets the old one on the right of the facade, the main facade here, south facing?
I don't have a building section to present. But
An elevation. I'm just trying to understand how the materials meet on the right of the south facade.
Well, the wood panel is in a similar plane as the existing fascia there that's stepped out from the brick below. So that's a covered walkway underneath that simulated wood panel.
Okay.
And those columns are exposed, because they're about 4 or 5 feet out from the lower facade.
Okay. Thank you.
And the material going, it's just proud of a foot, right? From the existing panel.
Yes, the wood simulated wood. We haven't gotten into the construction detail of that yet, but whatever fastening system we need to place on that fascia, it would be that thickness.
Oh, quick question on that. Two things on that, and one might be directed to Jeff. I know at Core Life we ran into setback issues with the brick being proud, right?
I don't know about that, but I can look it up.
Yeah, so be aware of that. And how are you going to finish the base of your columns? I assume you're using new columns, and how's that going to be treated at the ground plane?
Well, these would be metal wrap material. So the metal's coming down to the ground. It'd be aluminum. That's a good point. We may have an 8-inch base there that is of a stone, say it's a dark stone that might, for shovels and things, help that.
You got a nice clean line. I'm just wondering how that would.
Yeah, I thought it would be recessed at the bottom, but that was just my gut.
Yeah, I think what we would do is it would be a flush condition. So if we had metal coming down to, say, a stone base, that stone would be flush with the metal. So it looks clean, vertically,
Right.
but that can take the abuse.
And would your ground plane be a paver, or would it be concrete, or?
So there's an
that
existing concrete sidewalk there now that we,
just reused?
yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I like
Fran?
the improvements. I think it, I like it.
Yeah.
I think the scale's been brought into it just works better.
Yeah, I think.
It's very nice.
Good compromise. The only thing I would suggest that if they do the mall entrance, if they could please call it the Commons entrance and not a mall entrance.
Yeah, I agree.
The 13th
Remember,
corner.
we're in Brighton,
So going back to Mary's original question about the transition between existing and new on that lower elevation, can you just help us explain, so the anodized aluminum section that protrudes, looking
Yeah.
at the west elevation. So when I'm looking, kind of going the other way, how does that return back now at the south elevation where it transitions to the old?
So if we're looking at that bottom elevation on this sheet,
Yeah.
you know, to the right, that horizontal fin, there would be an end cap on that. The idea is just to keep it open-ended because I don't have a good place to bring that down to the sidewalk. So we thought we would project it horizontally, cap it on the end. So it acts like an L-shaped frame.
Okay. And the darker frame that's coming down, that's in plane with all the other columns. So
Yeah.
that's cut back.
Those other columns today, they are proud of they stick out from the facade.
Right. Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're in perfect position to receive the new material.
Right. Okay, so that just knowing that aluminum, as we look on it straight on, that's going to protrude out.
Correct.
Foot and a half. It'll
Correct.
just kind of terminate. All right.
Yeah. It ends in flush with the black vertical post that's there.
All right. Definitely improvement, though. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. Any other questions or comments?
And Stuart, I guess I just want to add real quick. I know that this
Yep.
is our third time here and second design. You know, Brian's anxious to get going. I know you guys are going to deliberate and vote, but I'd just like to put it out there that if there's any concerns that would say lead to a no vote, I'd like to talk about it now. You know, to make sure we'll keep at this as much as we need, but you know, I think we've made a good effort in correcting the design to your comments. And so before deliberations, before we close, I wondered if there's anything that any concerns on that we should address now.
How much is it worth to you?
Well,
Just joking, just joking.
we can chat offline. Can't you do that on?
I have no questions or concerns. I think, you know, it's definitely a much better improvement, and I appreciate your efforts. And you guys listening to us, it's a great update. Anyone else have anything to say?
No, I mean, he answered all the questions and I think has done a very good job of trying to tie the old with the new. And this, I agree with Fran, the scale of this, the look of this is much more in keeping with kind of the plaza. I think it can work.
Yeah, I totally agree. I agree. So I guess with that, David, give Jeff a call in the morning and get our answer.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
for your work.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks. Jeff, we all set?
Yep.
Okay, next on our agenda is 8AR-3-20, 226 Norman Road, Jarrett and Julianne Bromberg. Additions to a house including garage, upstairs bed, and bath. Are they here?
Yep.
I'm here.
Hi, welcome. Why don't you run us through your design?
Julie on yet? Julie is on. Hopefully she's on with the contractor and can help out a bit more. But what we want to do is.
What's the contractor?
Hello?
Is the contractor on? Is he gonna be on the call?
Julie should be on with the hello?
I can't hear him at all.
Yeah.
It's all garbled.
I can hear him a little bit.
Yeah,
Is
well,
that better? Is that better? Hello?
Now I guess we got
Better?
the contractor and your wife.
Yes.
Oh, they're on too now? Okay, good.
So stand by in the car, maybe mute, and let the contractor do the presentation.
Okay.
What are you looking to hear, or what information do you need?
Yeah, why don't you run us through your proposal and, you know, use of materials, lighting?
They're looking to put on 2 extra bedrooms upstairs because their family's expanding. And they're gonna use the, they're gonna go out and add a garage too for storage and a place to park their car. And then the back of the house, they're gonna do a family room on the back.
Okay, let's start with the front elevation. What's going on there?
Well, you have the garage that's next to the existing garage, and then that'll be the front bedroom on the front of the house with a gable.
Now you've got siding proposed. Is there siding on the existing house?
There's vinyl siding on the existing house, and we will be matching that with the same vinyl siding.
And all your roofing materials will match?
Roofing will match, yep, it's a architectural shingle on there now. We will match the same color architectural shingle on there, 30-year architectural shingle.
Could you please, Jeff, show the photograph of the house in the vicinity to the house next door?
Okay.
So how close are you to the property line with this? I mean, it's not our issue. I just am curious. Are you
Right, you don't have the site map. I think right now the existing house is like 19 feet 6 from the property line. And the addition's gonna be 12 feet. So they're
Right.
gonna be around 7 or 8 feet from the property line, I believe.
So you're getting a variance for that? I suppose if anything's over.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yeah, they're gonna be around 7 feet to the property line.
So can you talk about this blank wall that's going to be pretty close to your neighbor's house? I'm kind of interested in seeing, you only have one window for the upstairs bathroom.
Yeah, upstairs bathroom window, yes. So, and there are no windows on that, well, no, right now there's actually one window on that wall. That's one of the existing upstairs bedrooms, which is gonna be turned into a hallway / computer room.
And the garage would just be stacking three vehicles or potentially 3 vehicles?
You would have a side by side, you know, if you can get 2 vehicles deep in there, yes. 2 small vehicles should fit in there depth wise.
Is there any reason why you can't put any windows on that side at the first floor level?
I guess you could put a window in the garage for light.
Yeah, we're also known as the window board here, so definitely like to see windows.
Okay.
It's just very harsh for your neighbor to see that big blank wall.
I would even
Right, so we
advocate
could
for
add
windows
a
upstairs.
window on the garage wall for light.
Yeah, we'll probably ask for more than that, but it's,
Yeah. I would also start looking at the amount of windows in the bedrooms. Having one on each, potentially one at each bedroom on top, so there's 3 up there.
There's 2 bedrooms going in on the addition. There's 2 double windows on each bedroom.
Well, right, but that's a lot of blank siding.
Right.
The other challenge I
It is
have.
the side of the house. It's not the front of the house, you know?
Well, that's right, and we asked for that. So we don't like big, massive walls. We have that precedence. The other challenge I'm having, and it might just be the drawing, is the marriage of the 2 garages. They look very separate, at least in the elevation. So I don't know if we can work on that.
What do you mean the garages look?
And it might just be your drawing that you just call out the siding on one part. To me, they just kind of look like they're pushed together versus actually unified.
Well, the siding, everything would blend through.
So you're re-siding the whole house or you're matching?
No, we'll match the existing.
Could we see that again on the photo? And are you going to have 2 garage doors?
Yes,
Yes.
that's what's on the blueprint.
Okay.
So the existing garage would stay and then add a new door a similar door next to it.
Well, I hope they match.
Yes, they'll match.
Can we see the rear elevation, Jeff?
I think it's this one.
The drawing, sorry.
Oh.
What's proposed?
I have to say, along the front, I am struggling with the scale.
The front of the house, yeah.
Yeah. Kind of a tower element.
So you're actually increasing the height of your existing roof, aren't you? No.
Increasing, what was that?
Are you increasing the height of your existing roof?
Well,
Looks
it's
like
gonna
it.
probably end up being close to the same height that it is now. It might be a little bit higher for that valley to die into.
It looks like it's drawn higher than what the photo shows.
Right. Yeah, it looks like it's drawn higher, but I mean, you know how sometimes a blueprint on an addition is plus or minus. So we can get that as close as we can to the existing ridge.
So I guess what I ask is that part of your plan? Because it's not listed, right?
So I could have him change that to say that the bridge is gonna match.
Okay.
Jeff, could you please show the front elevation again, please?
Picture or drawing, Andrew?
The drawing. Yeah, I guess just Casey I'm not that concerned about the quote unquote tower element per se, only because, and I think it's the challenge of the drawing, that white blank space on the existing home versus the proposed structure. You just have to, that vinyl siding goes all the way through. So that massing, I don't think is going to be, it's my perception. The massing isn't going to be that bad on this. I do, however, agree about putting windows along the side elevation. That expansive wall, it's too large of an expansive wall for the neighbor to take a look at, especially since they have 3 windows on their first floor, and then they have one on their second floor. Putting some daylighting into that area, I think, is definitely going to be called for.
I'm concerned about the composition of this, the massing, yes, but also those 2 garage doors on what previously was like a little cottage, and now it's being overtaken by garage doors. It seems a little overwhelming to me. I wonder if there's been any consideration to how that can be mitigated.
Wondering if you expand the gable and actually go over both doors.
Well, it's just looking like a garage that's half garage and half house, and they're not articulated separately. So what you're saying is true. That would be one way to do it. Or even if there were garage doors that had windows in them, that would provide a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
Make it look more house-like instead of a garage with a house attached to it, in my opinion.
I mean, looking at the plan, it is, I'm pretty sure with the addition, it's wider in garage than it is in house.
It's just yeah, the proportions are it's disproportionate.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
Andy, do you have anything else to add?
No, I don't.
Casey?
Not at this point.
Fran?
No, I really am concerned about how close that is going to be to the adjacent house, though. And I was just wondering if you had looked at other options. I can understand why you'd want to incorporate the garage for storage, and it works out well programmatically. But if you had considered doing something to the other side instead.
Yeah, the other side, there's a lot of space. I don't know about the property line issues, but of course the garage is on this side, which makes that complicated.
Right.
But I agree with what you're saying, Fran.
And Brian, do you have anything to add?
I had a question. Where do the utilities currently come into the house? Like what side?
Contractor still on?
Gas line would have to get moved, the electric has to get moved, the water line would be buried underneath the garage. It comes in underneath in the corner of the garage now.
So it comes in on the side that you're proposing the new
All the
addition?
utilities come in on the side of the addition, yes.
Okay. So that would now be buried?
Well, the water line already is buried, the gas line is buried, but the gas line would have to get moved to the outside wall of the garage, and the electric would have to get moved to the outside wall of the garage. I don't know if you can look at the picture elevation where you can see where the meters are outside, if you could switch back to that elevation.
So quick question, along with utilities, are you going to be adding any air conditioning, or?
Are you going to end up putting
I don't
there?
know, we might want to put central air.
They might put central air in the house. If you look past the garbage can, you can see that the
Meters there?
gas meter and the electric meter are right on that outside corner.
Right.
So where would you be putting your air conditioning if you had central air?
The unit would probably have to go in the back of the garage, the condensing unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions?
I'm sorry, I was just curious, how do you get out the garage in the back? I don't remember from the drawing.
I believe there's
Another garage door?
I think there's a door. Yes, there is a door in the back.
Oh, just a person door.
Right.
I thought
Okay.
it showed a garage door, sorry.
Do the owners have any comments? Does our driver have a comment?
No, I'm back now. No comments.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought I'd make it home from work before the meeting, but I guess not.
So at this point, what else would you be looking to add to the print then, if anything?
Windows.
Windows, probably if there's any downspouts and troughs, how that's going to work. Lighting fixtures. Probably about it.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're looking for windows on the first floor?
Yeah.
Only, or?
Yeah, and make sure they're well balanced and well spaced, and probably more traditional. Just don't patch them in there. So.
Okay.
All right. And you can call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answers.
Okay.
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 Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Thanks.
So next on our agenda is 8AR-4-20, 2720 West Henrietta Road, CJS Architects. New roof, cladding, exterior improvements. Is someone here to present?
He's here.
Hello, good evening.
Hi.
Hi, my name's Evan Graziano. I work at CJS Architects. I'm here to represent James Long, the owner.
Okay, you
So-
want to run us through the design?
Sure. So this is an existing building. It used to be previously Argato Steakhouse. It's a pre-engineered building. It doesn't have insulation. It's kind of, the outside is looking pretty shabby these days. So what the owner would like to do is put new cladding on the building, insulation, as well as a new roof. Right now, he doesn't have any committed tenants, so he's trying to spruce up the outside and get people in there, and he'd like to wrap it up and put a for rent sign on the building. So
What's
sorry.
its function going to be?
So, well, he's thinking, there might be 2 to 3 tenants in there. One possibility is a restaurant in the front, and possibly more like a warehouse, furniture in the back. But that, I think, we'd be going for a permit for the exterior stuff first, and then once he gets tenants, maybe a separate permit for like a C of O for those once he knows.
Do we have any color selections or
Yeah,
details?
so I have a couple, materials.
That looks great.
Yeah, that's the existing condition. We did a rendering. So the lighter color, we're thinking like a fiber cement board, like a hardy plank. So that's that vertical orientation, and then the darker contrasting color is a corrugated metal panel. And our design is kind of, an honest, rendition of this pre-engineered building, which, is kind of unique. And after looking at it, we kind of like it, that, it has that gentle roof slope, and, the front facade is kind of a dichotomy. It's got the contrasting colors, and the window is a little different so we'd be adding aluminum, storefront, clear anodized aluminum system for this front entrance. That's the west elevation we're looking at, and then the sides on the north, we'd have entrances for the other tenants. Right now we are, assuming there'll be 3 tenants. So we kind of have 3 storefronts, entrances for those. So in the plan, we have it split up 3 ways.
What happens at the top and the bottom of the cladding material?
So, at the top, we'd have a fascia that kind of, matches that color. And at the bottom, it's a ventilated rain screen system, and it would have, their typical drip edge at the bottom, ventilated.
So you don't have any detail for that. You just have a couple of lines on the elevation right now representing that.
Correct. Yeah, we don't have full details.
Because your rendering shows pretty much just the material going straight up and ending.
Yeah,
Are
that
you-
might be a little.
Are you looking for approval of concept?
Yes.
You're saying that, Stuart, because we don't have the materials. We don't have enough information about the materials or the
Right.
detailing.
I sent in the materials that we're showing here, but as far as like details and wall sections,
Well, you said you're probably going to use a fiber cement board, or probably, but what we're looking for is what you're actually going to use.
And when are you looking to start? That's the other question.
well, they want to start, you know, in September, but you know, we'll see. September, October. They would like to get it wrapped. You know, that the exterior they'd like to have done. You know,
Is there any demolition involved? Are you stripping down to the old framing or?
Yes, the old cladding. I mean, you saw the picture that would come off. So no, these are the materials that we're using. The fiber cement panel, and then the next page is the corrugated metal.
And then the trim above and below would be what material and color?
Well, the you know, where the fiber cement is, it would be fiber cement fascia board, and you know, this one would be kind of aluminum.
And how do they meet with each other? Because you're saying, were they together vertically? There's also going to be fascia material that's going to intersect, but they're not going to have a consistent fascia?
No, I'm sorry. They would have a consistent fascia. They'd have to be the same. That would make sense to switch them.
Brian, do you have any questions? Fran?
No, I'm good.
Andy, you good?
Yeah.
Mary?
Yes.
Okay. So what you can do is call Jeff's office in the morning and get our answer. And we appreciate you coming tonight to present. Thank you for staying. Thank you for staying in Brighton. And we'll go from there. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Signs. Are we ready for those, Jeff?
Yep.
So let's take a look at 925 East Henrietta Road, David Lazara. Building face sign, Lazara Smiles Orthodontics. Isn't that what they presented last time?
Yeah, this is what we looked at last time, right?
Yeah, but they have the color, like this is the color that is one of the things we asked for. And then he commented about that the letters would be fitting between the windows and the top there.
So this is an incorrect rendering again.
Yeah, the rendering was not changed. They just added the color.
So it's in writing in the notes.
Yeah. I have an email.
Yes, I would want to see it correctly drawn to understand how tall and how wide it is underneath the fascia board and above the window trim.
Yeah, not guaranteed that the installers are going to read the.
Or center it on the windows.
Right.
It's not actually drawn to scale right now. It's just somebody went in and threw it in there in Photoshop and added a little blend around it. So
Sure, because look at the clapboarding is clearly, it's more than, I mean, the 12 inches, it says 12 inches letters. Well, maybe, no, it looks a little more.
About probably, yeah, there's 12 to 16 there now.
Yeah.
Counting the boards.
I mean, we took a look at the photo of the original sign. The original sign is in this location as well. And it fits from the top of the window up into the trim board underneath the eave.
So we can deny it. Just ask for a correct presentation.
Well, do we have to deny it? Can we approve it with
conditions?
With the conditions that the lettering is to be centered between the top of the window and the bottom of the trim, centered within the space between the four windows, and do something of that nature. I mean, this is the second time we've seen it. I don't have an issue with the intent of the sign necessarily. what's being presented, of course, is not correct, but me personally, I wouldn't deny it based on that. I think we can come up with terminology and conditions to allow it to move forward. That's my input.
Jeff, how is this followed up? Is it inspected? Does the town go out and look at it before they approve it after it's installed?
We'll submit the permit application, and then I have to okay the permit application before it gets released.
All right.
So I can have them submit a new drawing that shows it accurately to scale before giving them the permit.
So you got to.
Or they can draw the rectangle that will be where the sign is, showing the amount of space above and below it and the lateral positioning relative to the windows.
Yeah, I think, Jeff, as long as there's control points, I don't have a problem approving it.
Yep, there is.
Okay. Is everyone comfortable with that?
I am.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish I knew what the height between the window and the trim was.
Yeah.
So we could tell them minimum clearances there. 1, 3.
There's at least 5 or 6 there, so it's probably 12 to 18 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's probably more. Yeah, it's got to be more than 12. So it looks like they'll have a few inches. Andy, you said we had, last time we looked at the previous sign that was the same size. Do we have an image of that, just so we can get an idea?
Yeah, I thought we had an image. I thought we saw an image previously of the existing sign. It's in the same exact location.
Jeffrey, do we have it?
I'll get one real quick.
Yeah, I think we looked at it on Google Earth.
Yeah, I
Maybe
know.
that's where we looked at it.
I know. I remember that, but I don't have it in my mind right now.
There it is.
Same size.
Nice.
Can you zoom in on that at all? Oh, they put all the space at the bottom. Most of it.
It's only over 2 windows versus 4.
What direction, out of curiosity, is that facing? Is that going to get shadowed a lot?
Faces the road. It's faces
No, but north, south, east, west?
east.
It faces east?
We don't want it on top of the roof, so let's not tell them it's in shadow.
You're right, Casey. They could take it very literally. Well, they're going to have it. It's going to be lit anyway.
Well, the other one's going to be a lot longer if it's over 4 windows versus the 2.
Right. So what does that mean about the height of the letters? I mean, these letters, I wonder how high.
It's almost more than half the building length.
I mean, this is all the same
That's different.
last time.
You know, I think personally that they just slapped this graphic onto the building and didn't even
I think it's a different wall. I think it's a different wall.
Yeah, they're not sizing it. They're not showing us the extent of it. I mean, I agree with you guys that, you know, we can get it with conditions, but I think one of the conditions should be that they show us with accuracy where the sign is going to be on this facade, and then we are able to stick with it and guarantee that that happens. If everyone just does approximate representations of what they're doing, then a lot of bad stuff can happen. My opinion.
Agreed.
It doesn't make me feel better to see that previous sign, knowing that those letters are probably, I don't know how many letters were in that previous sign.
Can you go back to the Google image, Jeff, please?
So there is, orthodontics is the same word, and then
Could you zoom in on that signage a little bit for us, please?
Those are two different building faces, I think.
I actually know this, I know this story behind this, that Dr. Kaufman retired and this Dr. Lazara took over his practice. So he's taking his name off the building.
Can you go back to the sign presentation? Yeah, those are two different walls.
I just went around in satellite though. There's not another wall that looks like it.
Oh, that's the same.
know.
That's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the same wall to me.
So he's covering 4 windows versus 2.
Well, 2 and 2 halves. But we don't know. They, like I said, I think they just clipped this graphic of the letters and put it on the building and centered it, and we don't know. It could be the letters could be.
Look, if you look at the existing street view, he is covering well over 60% of the wall
Yeah.
of that band. So it's either a different building.
But he fits zoning regulations. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah.
One thing you could do is tell him that he can't have the letters be higher than 11 inches. So that gives you more top and bottom than what's there now.
Or match
Or him
existing lettering.
Height,
Kaufman.
yeah, match existing letter height and then equally distribute the margin above and below. The other one was skewed toward more space on the bottom, and I don't know if that's the right solution in this circumstance.
It's only got one additional word in there, so I don't know why it's so explosive.
I don't think it's in scale. I think Casey's right.
I think it's definitely not in scale, the way that they're presenting it.
So
Yeah,
can
it's
we
not.
require a drawing that shows the time and scale, proper scale?
So we have a choice: either we can it, or we put the verbiage in that's going to control it.
Are you calling for a straw poll?
Yep.
Okay, straw poll. I say I could approve this with the conditions.
Okay.
Same
Brian?
here. Ditto. Same.
Casey?
I dare on rejecting it. Does work really good. We might be able to make it work.
Mary?
I didn't hear what Casey said.
I said I'd lean towards rejecting it. But if we're really good, we'd have to be very specific to make it work with verbiage.
Well, I would be okay with approving it on conditions that define the location, but we don't have enough information based on this visual representation. So I would request that on condition that a drawing is submitted with the exact location and margins. I don't know if we can do that because we'll have to take a look at it, but.
Fran?
I'm good with approving it with the conditions. And then Mary, in Stuart, can we have Jeff review? Jeff's going to be reviewing the permit.
Right.
So we got another chance at making sure they're not going to go rogue.
Right.
I just want them to know where it's going to be too, because before they do it, because maybe the letters they want to do are not going to, it's not going to come out the way they think it is. And
Jeff, was there any explanation that was provided as part of the application when they wrote the application, their intent?
So can I interject something? I just did a measurement on the Google Earth, and it is going to sit between those 2 dormers. It won't be any longer than the 2 dormers if they're doing it at 2.5 feet or whatever it is.
so you're saying that this is just too large the way.
Yeah, well, actually, if they use the dimensions, it's actually going to be with those 2 dormers.
Are you
So it's a little
saying that
longer
the
than
the letters
three-
on the existing sign, the Kaufman, are 12 inches now, Stuart?
Oh, I don't know what they are. I'm just talking about the overall length. The backer board's 22 feet, 5 inches. And that
Oh,
would
I
be,
see.
that would be within those two dormers. So they've overextended. They're presenting it longer than it actually will be.
Which was what we thought. It's not to
Right.
scale. Drawing's not to scale.
So,
So I'm fine. If you guys want to do that with the conditions, that's fine. Centering and margins.
yeah, I'm good with it, with proving it with conditions or restrictions, one or the other.
Great.
We'll move on to the next sign.
But Jeff, do you have the conditions that we want to add?
Can we do that during the deliberation?
Oh, I thought we were deliberating on these signs.
I
Oh,
thought
we
were
can, yeah,
deliberating
that's
on-
fine.
Yeah, we may
Yeah.
as well expedite.
I put present drawings showing the exact location and size to scale. Center the text between the top of the windows and the trim board, and then center it horizontally on the face of the building.
Yeah, you might want to change the, or clarify the horizontal, centered on the windows.
Okay.
Or the dormers. Vertically centered and horizontally centered. I would be clear about that, yeah.
Didn't we also mention that the backer board should not overlap with any architectural elements?
Yes.
Good
We're
call.
hoping that 12 inches is short enough, but we're not sure.
Right, yeah, I think Kaufman's at 12 inches if you look at the siding, so I think we're probably pretty good on the dimensions. Anything else? Colors okay?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Okay, did you get it all, Jeff?
Good.
Okay. Next is 1892 Winton Road, south, I assume, number 2. Premier Sign Systems, building face sign, USA Vein Clinics. Right color building.
What the hell is a vein clinic?
They
Go in and find out. I'll pluck ya.
I think I want to.
they get you rid of your varicose veins, Brian. You know, when they start bulging out of your legs.
They harvest you, Brian.
With varicose
I've
veins.
actually heard that's bad to do.
It is, but people will make bigger sacrifices for aesthetic reasons than that.
Yeah.
Finding their feet.
It's more of a vanity thing, I think, unless you've got real bad varicose veins that need taken out. But
Yeah, it happens.
Huh.
So what are the boxes next to the U? What are those supposed to be?
Legs. Legs in a V.
They have words. I mean, it has to be.
Yeah, they're
No, I think they're affiliations.
no, it's a check mark with a leg in the middle of it.
No, but I'm saying there's actually words in that little one.
Yeah, Vein Clinic Vascular Center,
And
US Fibroid Center.
Fibroid Center. So they take care of fibrous tissues too.
So, I mean, the question to ask is that part of their DBA?
Right.
And that's what we need to know.
It's
And they never said it was blue. It says black returns, trim cap white, but it doesn't say the letters are blue.
White acrylic with applied translucent vinyl.
Right, but
White
where does it
acrylic.
say blue?
Doesn't.
It doesn't.
Matchbrook color to be determined.
That's the raceway.
But if you take a look at the image that they have with it lit, can we see what the coloration is? So it is their intent is a blue light.
Yeah,
If only they said that.
I don't have any problem with it.
My only
Yeah, I think
issue
it's fine.
Yeah, my only issue is to make sure that those three symbols are part of their DBA.
They have the blue check mark on their website. I don't know about the red one or the other one.
I'm okay as long as they do something in this vein.
Okay, so I'll check about would they not be considered logos because they have text on them? I guess that's in the code someplace.
It is in the code, and it's part of their, I think how we've looked at it before is if it is their DBA and it has all that information, then it can be included on the sign. Otherwise, it's additional text that I do not believe is allowable. The imagery, this imagery of the check mark and the foot, the leg might be okay. I think we need to take a look at the code to make sure that the additional verbiage is part of that.
How is that a leg?
It-
Oh,
the-
I'm looking at the field, not the figure. It's one of those base balustrade situations.
Right. Right.
It looks
Quite
like
honestly-
Italy, Mary. It looks like Italy.
And quite honestly, I don't even know if you actually need those three boxes because you're not going to be able to read that from any other distance than standing next to that sign.
I think it's that existing sign that they're showing up above. That's another location? Is it?
It's probably no different than a dental center. You know, dentists using that or.
I
whatever
think they're
the
going to want to
specialties
include
are.
that. So the question is, does it work with the regulations?
Right.
So.
And Mary, I guess just to follow up on your comment, the only other stipulation or condition that I might add to it is that per the information provided, the lettering is blue. Right? Because it's not listed here. So we assume the lettering will be blue.
I would say that. And then I would get, I don't know how we figure out, Jeff needs to find out whether the little doodahs can be added, the decals.
Right.
And if it is allowed, I'll put it on if they can't be they're not allowed for code.
They're not?
I mean, when I look into it and I find out, I'll add that as a condition if it's not allowed for code.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Excellent.
Sounds good. So shall we move to old business and make some decisions?
Yes, please.
So 8AR-6-19 is a no-show.
That was tabled, right?
Right. Postponed, one or the other.
Yeah, they were postponed.
So first one is 7AR-5-20, 2225, 2337 South Clinton Avenue. Mary, let's start with you.
I maybe I got here just a couple minutes late. I don't know if he addressed what he changed from the last time.
He seemed to have.
Did
He
he
did.
address everything okay?
Yeah. He addressed the comment about the siding material and where it was to be located from grade. Did revise the architecturals to show what the materials were around the doorway and what the correct materials were supposed to be.
You said
provided
he dealt with the issue about the grade and the finish on the bottom of the siding.
Yes, correct.
And-
Yep. He's holding it.
And
That's a new rendering though.
then the brick and the ephes he addressed.
Okay.
Windows he addressed. Details around the entry. I'm good as presented. Fran, how about you?
I'm good as presented.
Casey?
Also good as presented.
Brian,
I am good as presented.
Andrew?
I liked it.
Good as presented.
Okay.
Are we approving this as a concept and then would have to come in later, or just approving it and saying that they can build it per these drawings?
If they follow those
I think if
directions.
if there are any changes, they have to come back, correct?
Right.
Right.
And their permit will require working drawings, right?
Yep, they will.
Okay. So if there's any changes from what we approved tonight, they've probably got to come back, I guess.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, on to new business. You good, Jeff? I'm not sure if you're writing down anything or not.
I'm good.
All right, so 8AR-1-20-257 Pelham Road. Exterior alterations, new door, windows, and materials. Andy?
I'm good with this.
Brian?
Just a quick question. So they've been at this for 4 years. I went on Google Maps to look at this. It's got like the whole front of it's like stone exterior, and it's under construction in those pictures. I was just curious what problem they ran into. They said the contractor ran off.
He ran off with
Is
them.
that what happened?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, right.
Oh, just
Yeah,
awful.
It's a boondoggle. A lot of injuries on this one.
Yeah, I think they're at least trying to make it look halfway decent. So I think what they're doing is good.
And they didn't get an architect involved.
Uh,
The contractor was in way, I know the contractor, he was in way over his head.
Oh, you know who the contractor was?
I do.
Yeek.
Casey?
I was fine as presented because I think, trying to go back into history, we'd already approved the garage and then we found out that there's scope creep, right? So this one was
Yep.
more getting just what's going on with to the left of the garage that we'd already approved, what's really going on. So I think they answered it. I mean, I think the right side turned out okay. I
mean, it's completely different look. It's, I'm not crazy about that black standing seam roof, but I'm okay with it. I think we should put them out of their misery, approve it.
I say get it done.
Get it done and let the chips fall where they may. When Paul Goldberger has to review it for the New York Times.
Fran, are you got anything to say or add?
I'm good. I'm good as presented.
Okay. All right, let's get the man some traction and get this thing done.
He'll be happy about that.
Hold his feet to the fire.
Time to
Got
get
a
rid of
bond
those
on him?
pavers in front of the house.
Uh,
On condition that he gets rid of the concrete pavers.
How about just getting rid of the debris piles?
I consider the
Because-
concrete pavers part of the debris.
Pick up his garbage. Next, 8AR-2-20, 1835. Monroe Avenue, Hanlon Architects. Brian?
I was good with this. What I think is interesting is the white L-shaped treatment that he's got there actually partially matches what's happening at Core Life. There's a big band that goes through Core Life if you're coming from the south, like looking that way. So it almost looks like it continues. So I thought that was an interesting. I thought that was interesting looking at it from that perspective. So I like it. I think it's an improvement.
I would agree. Casey?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was an improvement. One thing did come to mind, and it's just thought. For that big glass tower element, I know he had said, the top half would be spandrel. Would anyone consider questioning if like more of a shadow box system might be appropriate to give it a little more depth to it? Just a thought. But other than that, definitely an improvement. I think, I think it worked out well. It fits much better.
Mary?
I think that they negotiated the situation pretty well. And I agree with what you're saying, Casey, but I think we might be getting into his knickers too much if we go that way. No, honestly, because he was a pretty good sport about making changes. And sometimes there's a lot of arrogance there and they don't like coming. I think he did, and he was a good sport.
Yeah.
I think I would approve it.
Fran?
I approve it. I really like these improvements. I like it.
Okay, so
So
everyone
what's
is
going
good.
on in Brighton? What's going on in Brighton where we've got 2 orthodontist offices on the agenda?
A lot of people with crooked teeth, I guess.
Yeah.
Apparently.
And
Well,
the
this
high
one's
rent.
smart. It's right by the high school. Are you kidding?
Well, yeah,
So-
my daughter goes to one right down Monroe Ave. I actually have to take her tomorrow. So I took her to the dentist today. The orthodontist is tomorrow. So I'm sitting there going, God, what's with all the orthodontists?
So, real quick, Jeff, we approve this. Where does this go? As I assume there's got to be a community presentation or something at some point.
I don't think there does.
Okay, just learn with our experience of core life. I'm good with as presented. I think as long as they keep this in mind going forward with the entire plaza, it would work out well. Andy, did I ask you for a comment?
You didn't, but I'm fine with the changes. I think they did a relatively decent job of combining the two together. I think this is a much better presentation. I'm fine with it as presented.
Okay, good. Noted. Next, Jeff, you all set?
Yep.
Next is 8 AR 320, 226 Norman Road, Jarrett and Julianne Romberg. Additions to the house, including garage upstairs and bed and bath. I'm kind of worried about this one.
Yeah.
Andrew, you're on the top of the column here, so I'm going right down.
Yeah, so I guess I agree with a whole bunch of the comments that I've heard. Number one, definitely need to see some openings on the side elevation. I'm not as concerned about the garages necessarily. It is what it is. They want a 2-car garage. That's what the front facade is showing. They don't have too many other options. You're not going to take this garage and put it on the other side of the house necessarily. May not work from an internal perspective as well. So, they're caught in a bind as well. Roof height, I agree that I need to get a little better understanding of why it's so much taller than the existing roof line, unless you're trying to provide for higher ceilings in the second floor. But I would ask that question and see whether or not that roof line can be brought back down again to be similar to the existing or more similar to the existing roof line. Aside from that, that's, the materials to match. I'm fine with all of that. So that's my commentary.
Brian?
Was their intent to raise the roof on the main house? It wasn't, right? Is it just like that in the drawing?
It wasn't clear. It's not clear.
Okay.
It looks like like they're going to raise it, and that's why I asked the question.
Well, look at all the closets on
Okay.
the second floor. Those are probably, they're not exactly walk-in height. They basically have rooms along the ridge line, underneath the ridge line in the old house.
Well, they also have a bathroom there, so you can't crouch in the bathroom.
Right.
Did
So
we? Was there a dormer up there on the back?
Yeah, there is. There is.
There is, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how they solved that.
How
Yeah.
about on next?
Previous sheet, there is a section that goes through the addition. I mean, the only thing that would happen is if you lower the roof of the addition, you would just have to do, you know, a small angle in your ceiling at the edges, just at the perimeter. But right now they've got 8'1" to the ceiling.
Why can't you just lower the pitch of the roof? Why do you don't shift the eave location, it's just lower the pitch of the roof?
They could, because it's not like it's, you know, relating to anything else at the front of the house, right?
Yeah. There's no other roof line in which it's trying to marry to.
Maybe a little dormer. I'm not sure if they're matching.
Can you see the front elevation again, Jack? Please.
It's got the little covered entrance. And it doesn't match. It's actually more shallow. I just threw a line on it.
Yeah, so
I actually thought when they were doing this, that the purpose was to stack the cars in the tower and get rid of that garage door on the main facade, which might have been a little bit better. I don't get the floor plan of this addition. I wish they would have gotten somebody involved who could advance this design a little bit. They've got problems. They've got floor plan problems on the second story of the existing house. And I don't know that they've really done a thorough job of addressing that. And it's not our purview, I know, but we see the result of it on the outside of the house. What are they going to do with this back space in the garage?
that could be a workspace.
The
Could
bonus
be
room.
storage.
Right. No, I understand. It's a rhetorical question. They've got a storage and mechanical area in the back of the existing garage, which is very deep. It's just, I don't know. It's almost like they're throwing good money after bad on this. But visually, you know, I don't want to get them into an economic hardship. But I might say, okay, if they put at least 2 windows on the garage, on the side facing their neighbor, it's going to be right in their face. And 2 garage doors with windows on the top level. It might improve it a little bit, but that is way too much garage door for me on front of that house.
Hey, can we hear from
Yeah, I
Fran? Sorry.
Yeah. Do we know where the property line is, Jeff? I know he said it's 19 feet from the side of the house.
You can see the low point between the 2 houses if you look, Fran.
So is it in this, so it runs between the center of those 2? I mean, most houses on this street have a lot of room around them. These 2 houses are closer than most. And now, I mean, the edge of it's going to be farther out from that little shed there. And I don't know. I don't think it's fair to do that to the neighbor.
No, it kind of blows it out of the neighborhood, doesn't it? Look at all the space on the other side. It's just like,
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Take a look at the house right next door, though, and take a look at their garage addition. Take a look at the size of their garage in relationship.
Yeah, it is a 2-car garage.
So
where? Way back?
The one on the side, the
Also
adjacent.
a wider house.
I don't see what you're talking about.
Their neighbor, I mean, the neighbor's
house.
residential portion of their house is probably the same width as this person's garage.
Are you seeing the same image I'm seeing? Because I only see a piece of that house.
I see a garage that's attached to that house.
I will say, when I Google map this one when they're doing the presentation, there's only a few houses that even have attached garages. Most of them have them tucked back behind.
Yeah, it's almost the same house with a double garage without the second floor.
I don't
look
see
at
what
it.
you guys are seeing. Are you looking at Google Earth?
Yeah, Street View.
Oh, well, I can't do that. I can't get the Zoom window smaller on my computer. Can anyone share that?
Yeah, I'll pull it up.
Thank you. So can you get it over on the right a little bit so I can see the air around that crash? What
So
is going on with
there's-
that roof?
There is no windows on that side now, except for the one.
Right, but it's going to be even closer to them.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not, I don't know. The house is not a good design to start with. How can they do,
I just say add more windows and wish them luck. I have no problem with the materials, and I think throwing me off a little bit is the drawing.
Yeah, I think the only thing I see that's a little odd is the space between the where the two garage doors show up. That the middle column's wider than the one on the right, just because of the way that it's drawn, and that looks weird to me. So, if they could match in width, that would be better. Because the way he's got it drawn right now, it looks odd.
Yeah, they would have to center those windows above better. So shall we vote, Brian?
Wait, can I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely.
Just because we've been talking about the garage doors, I mean, the new door is wider than the existing door. So if they're going to be right next to each other without a change in plane, that seems odd to me.
Yeah, they should match.
But they don't.
Yeah, I think that's the problem is, there's this, the scale is off, and it's kind of thrown everything else off. And I think we all agree with windows on the side and possibly windows on the doors, but that would certainly be a big improvement.
Yeah, I think windows on the garage doors would be a big improvement, but that means they have to replace a door that they already have on top of the expenditure that they're.
If it was my call, I would expand the whole width of that gable. I would actually put that addition over both garage doors.
Then it would really look like a garage with a house attached to it, though. But this house wants to be symmetrical. If you look at the left, it wants to be a symmetrical composition.
So either that or leave it alone. So, Brian, approve or not?
I would approve it with conditions.
Casey?
I would approve it with a lot of conditions, hopefully including lowering the peak of the roof. I think if it was in a different neighborhood, maybe not, but because just looking at the other houses around it, they are all very different, and it's not too crazy to have this goofy, it's kind of goofy. It's just a goofy addition, but there are also other odd ones on that same street. So I don't think it's value.
Mary? Thank you, Casey. Mary?
Well, I'm going to be in the minority because I don't think it should be approved. I don't think we should apply a different set of standards because we have an assumption about people's economic possibilities or whatever. We were a lot more nitpicky about the big house that was being put on the other street and all the little details of it. I don't know that we could do enough conditions to this to make it work. I think it needs a design, a proper design, and that's my feeling. And I don't think that we should cast the plague on this neighborhood any more than any other neighborhood. I mean, it is a quirky neighborhood and it's a quirky house. But I don't think they're there with the design.
Fran?
I don't approve. I think it's gonna have a big negative impact on the adjacent house. I mean, just that's where to start. And the rest, I echo others. I guess, Mary, you brought up a good point about if that garage door wasn't there, the existing garage door, it could, that, I think that would make some improvements. Although, like I said, I still think it's way too close to the adjacent house.
Andrew? All right, thank you, Fran. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, okay.
I guess I would be of the mind to potentially approve it with some conditions. It's very, very quirky. It's a small lot. They don't have room to move on either side to achieve what it is that they want to achieve in this footprint. I don't think there's any other way of doing this, really, economically, without doing a complete and total redesign of the house. So I don't think it's that bad.
So you're going to approve with conditions?
I would try to approve with conditions, correct.
All right, so
This is the site plan for it from the zoning board application.
so what is that little jump out there?
I don't know. I don't think it's there. It might be an old survey because I didn't see it in any of the current drawings.
Or is it the shed or something?
Old shed, maybe.
I guess I'll approve with conditions. So that's 4-3.
But I'm on the edge. I guess, Jeff, tell us more about how the appeal works with zoning, because I agree with Fran that it's just so close and it's not our purview. But if you do approve something, does that mean they're just going to go with it, or do they really look into how it affects the neighbors? And
it is our purview, though, Casey, because the houses on the street are our purview, right?
No, I'm talking about the closeness.
Right, but it changes the character of the neighborhood, and the space in the neighborhood is an important characteristic, the space between the houses.
Ooh, the negative space, I love it.
Yeah, see?
They do take into consideration all that stuff, and there is opportunities for the neighbor to comment either through letter or during the meeting about the plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say that the neighbor has, if the neighbor says no way in hell, then the zoning board is probably going to deny them. So,
and they still might.
Or at least and they still might. So even if we approve it, as long as the neighbor's okay with it, I mean, it'll probably get approved.
So I
Does
just
automatically get told, like, are they aware of it before it happens?
yeah, the abutters get notice.
Okay.
So do we have to come up with the conditions, or are we tied? Casey, are you a yay or a nay?
Oh, I hate being because I don't. I was going the other way of not approved.
Okay, so 3-3.
I was trying to play nice.
Right, so to make this painless, and everyone hold fast.
Yep.
So Jeff,
Yes.
how do we break the tiebreaker?
I don't know. Hasn't happened.
Well, if you start going down through this, and if you start suggesting that you might table this to ask for further information, I might be on board to table it, but I'm not on
That's
board to
actually-
not approve it.
That's actually a good compromise.
Well, actually, I think it should be tabled for the very reason that we are at an impasse. So we have a hung jury, and then therefore we table it.
I don't think we can put that in there.
Well, not in those words, obviously.
Well, why don't we start writing up the conditions? Because I think we do all agree on a lot of things. And then once we get that list together, I think that'll help us get a lot closer to which way we're swinging.
So I'll start. They need more windows on that one side. And unfortunately, I'm only going to come up with negative issues here. I'm not real clear on the marriage between the addition and the existing house.
So we've got I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, on the side windows, what do we collectively think? Obviously, I think everyone agreed to at least 2 in the garage. Does anyone else think more should go above? Or are we
Yes,
okay with
I believe one window should be placed in each bedroom. Cross ventilation, there's no cross ventilation in these rooms.
one? Oh, I know.
I would agree. They all need to be balanced and well spaced out on that wall.
Yep.
And we need to see the location of the windows.
Yeah. So you know what? I would say I would table it because they should come back with windows, and we have an opportunity to fix this versus pulling our teeth out.
Can we have them put, like draw a little bit of how close this is to the adjacent house in the elevation?
It's really kind of a planning board issue, I think.
Okay.
And I think that, I'm not really interested in personally in them doing a better rendition of what they're gonna do. I'd rather see them do something different. And, it's a design problem. And, I think that this is a problem for an architect. And,
Well, that's a solid disapproval.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Well, the drawings were done by an architect.
the drawing was done by an architect?
That's ALA Architects. I don't know who
Let's-
they are, but
Can we continue along with the conditions for the tabling first?
all right. You're saying it, so at least.
What do you
2
mean conditions? Isn't it a rationale? Is it a rationale or is it conditions? I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Casey.
She puts her hand on me.
Oh, I know, it's like I can do my own face.
I'm with you.
I think we mentioned that both of the garage doors should be the same size. That would be ideal. We mentioned windows in the
matching.
garage doors
Windows in
and
the
matching,
garage doors.
yes. Yep.
Windows on the side wall.
2 on bottom and 2 additional on top.
Yes, on the side.
Mhm. Is Jeff getting this? Jeff, we need feedback.
Huh?
Jeff, are you writing these down?
I'm writing things down.
Perfect.
I would probably like to see a call out on the height of the existing house versus proposed.
Well, could we just actually suggest that they work to keep those roof lines in line?
Yes, I agree.
So what drives it, the proposed roof line or the existing?
They need to show me.
Yeah, that's my question. So if they put a higher proposed, they're gonna drive the existing.
I'm wondering, Stuart, if they expanded that gable to house both garage doors, if they could do a double garage door with windows and reduce the encumbrance on the setback.
it looks like they got a structural wall that's going right down the center of the garage.
Right.
They'd have to redo that complete.
The firewall,
wall.
yeah.
So those are the 3 items I'm stuck on.
The roof height, the windows on the garage doors, the windows on the side of the house?
Yep.
Can we see the photo, please? I want to see that siding.
Okay.
And if they'll be able to match it.
I don't think they will.
Hold on.
Oh, maybe. I thought it was the larger shingles. I remembered it differently.
Horizontal siding, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I have add 2 windows. Do you want to say at least 2 windows into the garage?
On the side, at least
Yeah.
up on the first floor and second.
And one
Side
window.
elevation, 2 lower windows, 2 upper windows.
Okay.
So I want to understand the tabling thing. This sounds like you're giving them conditions whereby this would be approved.
We're tabling it.
Is that right? These are basically conditions whereby it would be approved, but they have to come back and show it. So what's the expectation, that while they're trying to do that, they change something else? I don't understand what the expectation is.
Well, if we all agree that these are some of the things that we're looking to achieve out of the design, then I guess that it's just a way of how do you frame that so that they redesign the building to take these things into consideration. Provide more, and we come away with provide more glass area on the side facade, then they might come back with a single window. And then what do we do then? Because I think that a majority of us would probably prefer to see a number of windows placed on that side facade. If you have a better way of stating it, then let's try to formulate a comment in that fashion, right?
Well, Andy, I think what we can do too is they come back with the 4 windows, and if they're not placed where we want them, we can always place them at that point.
Yeah, no, I understand, but I understand the comment, Mary's comment. And I guess the question is, how do we phrase it properly?
Yeah, no, I'm supporting you in this. I'm supporting what you're saying, that we don't have to define it right now where they go. We can tell them quantity. Their architect places them. If they're not suitable, we draw them in right there, or have them draw them in.
Right.
So we get a visual.
Right. And I guess, and to Mary's point, Mary, how would you state it about kind of the composition of the front of the house and the the massing of the garage in relationship to the remainder of the home?
Well, again, I'm thinking these are sounding like conditions, and I don't want to be a pain. I guess what I want to understand is, what are the grounds for tabling in general? We have a vote we're blocked half and half. Okay, so why do you table? This is a question I'm asking everybody. Do we all understand why something is tabled rather than approved with conditions? I'm not clear on it in this case, and that's what I was just asking for, a simple explanation.
Well, I think if we approve with conditions, we're getting into designing, and I want to avoid that. And I think if we table it, the burden is on them to come back with.
What is the reason for tabling it? That's what I'm trying to get at. The reason, the justification for tabling it is what?
Well, we don't have an answer on the roof line. I mean, if you look at that existing photo of the roof. It's a very low sloping roof. And is it being raised? At least this is a concern of mine. It's looks like the height is being changed.
So not enough information? Is that the reason? For
Yeah,
that?
it's just at least on the roof and the ridge line. And then it's really not clear to me how those two garage doors are going to marry if they're different sizes.
Okay, then the way I would say it is lack of information, including the following. Roof lines, roof heights, roof lines, relationship of the two. Fenestration on the blank wall facing the neighbor. Treatment of garage doors and relative widths. Then we can couch the terms in such a way that we're saying we're tabling it because we don't know these things, and that leaves it open to them to solve those things without us saying this, and this are things
Right.
you need to do in order to be approved.
Totally agree. Is everyone in agreement to that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess we were
Casey?
just trying to,
Casey and Fran, you're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Did you get it all, Jeff?
I got most of it.
And if Chris had been here tonight, this would not have passed.
Blame him.
You know it.
But we're saying it's not passing, it's being tabled.
Yeah, it's being
Yeah.
tabled. So Chris can look at it.
So I said I have tabled for additional information, include relationship of roof heights and roof lines, fenestration to the right facade, and the relationship between the garage doors in width and spacing.
And information about the garage doors, more detail about the garage doors, dimensions, materials, and so on.
I feel like, but I think the way that just got read out, it sounds like we're just asking for more information versus saying we don't agree that the roof height on the addition is higher than the house, and we don't agree that the two doors, garage doors, don't match.
Well, it's
And
not clear.
well, it's very clear that the roof height is higher in the addition than in the main house, and it is clear that the new door is wider than the existing door. And it's also clear that we don't have enough windows. I think we just went too generic. They're gonna come back and say, here's the height to the ridge, here's the dimensions of the existing door and the new door, and yep, there's our windows.
So my question is the existing roof more than anything.
Why?
Is it being raised?
No,
It's not called out.
No, that was not the intent. He said if we wanted them to lower the existing roof, he could or the new roof to match the existing, that they probably could. But they were not intending on doing anything to the new roof besides doing that little extension piece.
Yeah, I didn't hear that, so.
I understand what you're saying, Casey. We need to tell them that there's not enough information, but we also need to suggest in a diplomatic way that there are certain unsatisfactory elements.
Right.
And
so can we suggest to them, and then again, I know if Chris were here, well, somebody will say it. I don't know how to say investigate lowering the roof line of the new addition. Investigate's not the correct term.
we can say study the following elements before resubmitting. How's that?
That would be better, actually. The
Aligning ridge heights.
Right.
The alignment of the ridge heights and heights of the roof, right? The blank facade on the side elevation.
But that one, I mean, why not give them the minimum like we talked about earlier? Just so we get what we want the second time round. 2 on the bottom, 2 more on top.
Well, then we can say study the insufficiency of the number of windows or.
But they can come back with the same exact drawing and said, we did study it.
Right, exactly. That's what I mean. I liked before when we said add 2 windows to the first floor garage, add 2 more windows on top, 1 in each bedroom. Boom.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
You know,
I think in the past, we've said suggest windows at the top and on the bottom, you know, but we don't tell them how many, we don't tell them where.
How about
We've
if we
just said suggest.
No, I would give them a count and then just don't tell them placement. Then
Yeah, I
we
would
can
say
catch it on-
study the location of an additional 3 windows on that facade or something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't give them the number. I would say,
Location of adding windows to the garage and the bedrooms.
There you go.
yeah,
There you
garage
go.
and bedrooms. Excuse me a second.
with balanced spacing and et cetera. My concern is come back, just say what you asked. And give us 3 windows all in a row. So anyways, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. Have matching garage doors.
Yeah, I think new
And,
garage
Yes.
doors should match existing, or they should match each other.
Yes, each other. And the other is
All right.
lower the proposed ridge line on the addition, if that's what people want. Everyone good with that?
So I'm putting provide details showing the garage doors match.
Each other.
Yep.
Dimension.
And could I say like show that the top of the roofs will align in the elevations?
A little bit nervous about shortening their interior space, but yeah.
I don't think it will hurt their interior space. They can just drop the pitch of the roof and achieve that.
Yeah, the pitch doesn't match anything else going on in the front.
Right. I understand.
Okay. So
Right.
I was saying study addition. I put study addition and alignment of windows to the garage and bedrooms.
I don't even know if I would say study, because they looked at it and it's fine in their eyes.
You can make a blank statement as that the blank wall is unacceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, criminees, that's what we're getting to. The blank wall is unacceptable.
Trying to design it. You're right, Andy. It's just,
You know,
they know we want windows there. They
Yep.
heard us say it, and
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, last but not least is 8AR-4-20, 2720 West Henrietta Road.
so you asked the question of him whether or not he was just looking for concept design, but it sure sounds as if he wants full concept design, concept approval, but it sounds as if he wants approval for this, what's being presented.
I agree. I think it was early yet, and when I asked that because I wasn't sure what direction he was going, and I don't think he had shown us any material at that point.
well, I think they're just trying to reclad it and get some tenants, and then they'll probably have a phase 2. I got the same impression, in other words.
I think they're going to build a box and then modify the
Yes.
interior as the clients come along.
They're building a box and they're not ashamed that it's a box. That's what, basically, he said something to that effect.
It is what it is. So,
They're gonna put wrapping paper on the box.
Andrew, yes or no?
Well, I guess I mean, I really have a question about the dark wall, a black wall. And I don't know which way that faces. Can you zoom in? Do they tell?
I think that faces the street, at least
This is
one elevation that's split.
And
Is
that
that-
takes Dunkin' Donuts.
Is it black wall for sort of passive solar heating?
Yeah, the black wall's on the south side, and it faces. I think it's
Collector
a,
wall?
That's Dunkin' Donuts, right, on that south side?
I believe so.
Is that a tractor trailer that they're showing in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not
Good.
sure how-
Good luck. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Good luck getting that tractor trailer into a loading dock. Holy smokes.
They're providing an overhead door there.
Oh, but that's nope. I don't want to be that truck driver. Okay, so that black
What?
wall is going to the bottom of the page here, right adjacent to Dunkin' Donuts. I guess I have an issue with that just solid black wall, but I could be talked out of it. I mean, they did provide us materials, correct? They showed the
Yes.
black metal and then the other cementitious material, correct? Hardy panel, is that what you were saying?
Yes, and we need to nail them down on those materials because first he said he was just showing them as examples. And then when I said, are these the actual materials you're going to use? He said, yeah, these are the actual materials. So I think we need to nail them down on that. So if they do change them, they have to come back. Unless you don't like the materials, unless you're saying you don't like them.
So, I have an approval as presented. We'll do that.
Right, do they know that?
I usually put it in saying any changes to what was presented has to be brought back before the board.
Yes, that's always on there as a disclaimer, right?
Yep.
Boy, that's a big blank wall. Well, I guess they had 4 windows on it, right?
You know, it
Yeah, it's
probably,
also a
it'll probably
it's a
end up
drainage
with some
ditch.
kind of signage or something. No, I guess it won't. It's on that inside wall, yeah.
That black wall, I think there's a drainage ditch right there between Dunkin' Donuts and their building.
That doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't make it right.
It makes it waterfront property.
There you go. Waterfront.
Are there any safety concerns to having it all black? Just thinking about
Don't run into it at night.
people snooping, trying to mug you as you're in your drive-through over there.
No, but that blackness is just, I don't know.
Well, if it's on Pelham Road, we can put it on West Henrietta. That's my view.
I mean, there's still, they didn't provide any details yet on how these two materials are gonna go together. I mean, they're very different thicknesses. So on this rear elevation, they just have them butting next to each other.
There was no details provided, correct?
Correct.
So, okay, so I might be of the mind then to table this thing for
Additional details.
for true elevations, additional details, how materials join one another, finishes and the finishings of the glazing, window treatments, and table it.
I'm good with that. Brian?
That's fine.
Casey?
Yeah, I agree.
Mary?
I would have approved this. I think we're making too much of it. It's a box. It looks horrible right now. They're doing a minimal investment.
Mary approves. Fran?
I'm good with it.
Okay, as presented.
Yeah.
Shit's another 3-way.
Well, I could approve it as is. I guess I question the black finish.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
It's
the
un-
black. It's,
It's unusual, and I mean, it won't show up true black in sunlight, but so I could approve it as is, I guess. That's the only question that I had.
so there's what,
4-2. Stalemate's broken.
all right. Did you get all that, Jeff?
Prove this presented.
All right. So I guess we'll see everyone next month.
Thank you, Stuart.
All right, sounds
Thank you,
good.
Jeff.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jeff.
All
yeah,
comments.
thanks, Jeff. Everyone have a great Labor Day.
Thanks. You too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Do people actually celebrate Labor Day?
They do.
A long weekend.
The unions.
Doing what?
The unions.
Everyone's home.
The unions celebrate it. Adios.
Ciao.
Bye. Whoops. Thanks, Brett. Still there? See ya.